We have an update today after a car burglary led to a deadly crash in Deerfield Beach.
Two men were killed after the car they were in plunged into a pond. Now the driver is facing charges and went before a judge today.
And Local 10's Gabrielle Arzola joins us right now with what happened in court.
Christy, Eric, investigators say this started as a break-in and then turned deadly. And like you said, the only survivor now faced a judge just a few hours ago. Today, the Broward County Sheriff's Office say the driver responsible for crashing a car into a retention pond, which ultimately killed two people, faced a judge. In court, he was identified as 21-year-old Pledison Johnson Philibert and is being held on a slew of charges after investigators say he and two other men were caught trying to break into cars around 4 a.m. in this Deer Creek neighborhood in Deerfield Beach.
Multiple individuals were burglarizing unoccupied vehicles in this community.
Home surveillance video shows the moments before their plans took a deadly turn. You can see one man sprinting, then ducks under a parked car and throws up his hands, surrendering as deputies closed in. But when deputies got closer, the three sped off, but the chase didn't last long. Within moments, their car slammed into this retention pond.
They're probably about 40, 50 feet out in the middle of the canal, and they just went down with the vehicle, and they're not coming back up.
Philibert managed to escape and was immediately arrested. Two other men remained trapped inside that sinking SUV. Local 10 was on scene all day as the BSO dive team pulled one body from the water, and hours later, another body was recovered, as well as the getaway car.
Man, it's very, very, very tragic. You know, it's really a shame that people's decisions lead them ultimately to their demise. As it's reported, the three individuals were out looking for cars to steal. They were caught, got in a car, sped off. Sounds like a chase ensued, and then they end up crashing into a retention pond. And they were so far out, and then the car sunk, and two individuals are now passed, and one is still alive, and he's the one who's going to be facing charges. And I always say, in all these videos of situations of this nature, or, when it's murders or anything like that, it's like, is it worth it? Was it worth it? These could have been your two friends, two associates, whatever and they're gone. Now they're gone. All because, you guys wanted to go and try to steal cars in this community there in Deerfield Beach. And, it's just a shame, man, because these young men could have chose to do anything else with their lives, but this is what they were choosing to do.
Residents were in shock.
It's scary. It's frightening. I can't believe.
How this all played out is still under investigation, but it's left many neighbors wondering how these suspects ended up driving right into the water.
They thought this was an exit, I'm assuming. You have three entrances into this community, but there two of them are dead ends.
And then, you go in neighborhoods where you're not even familiar with the neighborhood because you're not even from there. And you're trying to get away. You thought you was going into an exit. As he was saying, two of the exits that they do have, or it seem like exits, are actually dead ends. So, one thing I get out of this is, we have to start making better decisions, man, better choices in life. And, it's going to go over a lot of people's head. A lot of people are not even going to care to even receive that type of message. But, this is the results. You may get away with it a few times, but after a while, it just starts to catch up with you. And sometimes, the catching up could be you spending a lot of time sitting down in jail, or, someone's planning your funeral. So it's just like, you have to sit there and kind of weigh the pros and cons of everything, and a lot of times You know, the cons are going to outweigh the pros. You know, I mean, you can get a car, you can try to, strip it down, sell parts, or use it in another crime or something of that nature. But, it's not like you're going to steal this car and just be able to peacefully go out and just drive it all about your everyday life and not have to worry about looking over your shoulders and stuff like that for authorities who may, have a description and a VIN number of the car and be looking for that car. So, you know, if you would have if these guys would have been, sat down and told, hey, you go to do this, it's a chance that two or the three of you guys are going to die. I'm sure all three would have said, no, I'm not going to do it, or would have reconsidered doing it, would have thought real hard on it, but it's like these are the results of doing things that, you shouldn't be doing. You shouldn't have been in this neighborhood trying to steal cars. You had no clue of how to get out of the neighborhood, and ultimately, two people are dead, and one person is probably going to spend a lot of time in jail if it's not just a slap on the wrist.
So we know now Philibert is being held on a $24,000 bond in Deerfield Beach. I'm Gabrielle Arzola, local.
So $24,000 bond, a bail bondsman definitely could pick that up, and you could get out of jail. But if he has a conscience, he's going to think about the two individuals that was with him that passed away, and it's no telling if he was the driver or if he was just a passenger in the car. But once you are in a car and if they have child locks on or anything like that, and even the pressure from the water can keep the doors from opening and stuff like that. So, and also you're going to panic being that you're in a car being submerged down into water. So just a very, very tragic story. I just, want to shed light on stories like this because there's always going to be a lesson in all of this stuff, man. Just don't make stupid decisions. Don't sit there, come up with a plan that at the end of the day is just like the dumbest thing that you can do, because these are some of the results that can happen to you. We'll go ahead and wrap this one up. If you like my content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. This is Justin Paul. Peace.